CM 365, all about Carnatic music.
Today we'll be discussing about another characteristic of the musical tone, which is timbre. Now, musical tones of the same pitch and same intensity can be produced by various voices and instruments. They can be easily distinguished from one another by the quality of the production. And this timbre or quality, that is what we are meaning here, where that helps to distinguish one from the other. And our music treatises have also beautifully classified all these instruments based on the quality or timbre of the sound that comes out from them. They have classified it into Shariraja, Nakaja, Dhanvija, Vayuja, Sharmaja and Lohaja. That is based on whether it is sound comes from the human voice or by plucking of it or by bowed instruments or by the skin covered instruments or the instruments where the air column is very important for the production of the sound, or like in Lohaja by the sound produced by the metal kind of instruments. So like this, based on the different timbre, the instruments have been classified. And this classification, as I said earlier, also is based on the tonal quality of the instrument. Now, Indian classical music we see has classified sounds into highly intricate principles and imaginative categories. This nada is not what we call as merely flat sound, but it is not unidimensional sound. It is expounded as the consolidation of innumerable shrutis or microtonal intervals, out of which we see that the saptaswaras have also emerged. So it's a very complex kind of a system where we see that the Adhara Shadja, then the seven notes from that, then the octave of the Sa to Sa, that is the Adhara Shadja, and the Tara Shadja being exactly double that in terms of its tonal value. Like this we see that a very complex system of swaras have been evolved in our Carnatic music system. And there is also a mention about it in Sangeetha Ratnakara, where the chapter on swaras, dealing in that, it says, Swato Ranjayati Shrotu Chittam Sa Swara Uchyate. That is, a swara is that which by nature is pleasing to the ear and also to the mind. Also it says that swara is one which diffuses shruti and sounds harmonious. That is, beyond the concept of shrutis, it moves to the next level and it sounds totally harmonious. The combinations, everything has to sound very harmonious. And then Tara Shadja, as I mentioned also earlier, has the frequency exactly double of the tonic. This, when you keep the tambura or the shruti box, you know that sa, sa, where you see that the higher the note that we have now, the Tara Shadja, is exactly double that of the tonic. And complete with this sa re ga ma pa da ni sa, the seven swara sarigama padani attain a sense of completeness only when that Tara Shadja is touched. So the complete gamut becomes like sarigama padani sa sa ni da pa ma ga re sa. This makes for a complete sthai, what we call as a complete round. And interesting also, we see that this is not something new, but all these concepts date back to several centuries. For example, the inscription in the Kudumiyanmalai inscription, where you see that in the rock face, you see that the inscriptions of solfa names, shrutis and symbols in writing music have been there. In that you see that in the Kudumiyanmalai inscription. So which means that even from the 7th century, these concepts of these solfa names and shrutis have also been there. And it is just that it has been evolving from one century to the other in terms of its progression to become more sophisticated and more complex and more larger in its perspective also. And this emergence of the solfa syllables or the notes, actually they are very important in terms of being the foundation of our very music itself. So whether it is Carnatic music or Hindustani music, the emergence of these 7 notes is actually the basis and the foundation on which the entire system itself has evolved to become such a big and large kind of a musical system that we see today.
CM 365, all about Carnatic music.